Oh, hello there. Thank you for rejoining me on this new edition of Ask Arnold. Today, I wanted to address a few questions that were posed to me by a commenter, True Fisp, who had many great questions for me. Excuse me while I sip on my wonderful Doppelbock. That's tasty. That's very tasty. That'll be the perfect brew to wash down this yummy, greasy, delicious mini pizza. Oh god. So cheap, but it's like heaven in your mouth. That was so good. Scrumptious even. So now with that, on to the heart of the matter. True Fisp has many great questions that he asked in the comment section of my last Ask Arnold video, and I thought I would take a moment to address them all. Excuse me. So good. So delicious. Anyways, one of the first things that True Fisp 1 asks is, do a review of Jenny Craig. And, sir, I don't think that it would be appropriate to do a review of Jenny Craig. As any health and fitness professional will tell you, the true secret in losing weight and in creating a healthier and more fit you is not necessarily in these fly-by-night fad diets, but rather in steady exercise and changing your actual diet, changing your nutritional lifestyle, eating healthier. And truth be told, something that relies on a point system just sounds a little too good to be true, don't you think? Okay, on to the next question. True Fisp 1 also asks, Dear Ask Arnold, in quotation marks, what's it like being 75 pounds overweight? Well, my friend, I gotta tell you, it's no picnic. Haha, that's a fat joke. Anyways, I have childbearing hips, I have blood clots in my legs, and every trip to the doctor is met with a little sense of dread, to be perfectly frank. Like, oh shit, what is he going to tell me this time? It's definitely not something that I enjoy. That being said, I will say though that this obvious gut that I have is from delicious, rich food and from even richer beer. I have to say it is, at the least, it is well earned. The next question that TrueFisp 1 asks me is, what's it like being 31 years old and still enjoying posters on the wall? Enjoying being in quotation marks. I gotta tell you, the posters definitely add the right bit of ambience to this studio. Speaking as somebody who was never into the whole, hey, let's go to Ross and Marshalls and Home Goods and find the boring reprints of wine, Cabernet, espresso, mocha, latte, cappuccino that they always sell at those stores. So I thought I would put my passion up on the wall, such as various guitars and posters from bands that I enjoy and events that I've been to. I thought that would hold a little bit better place in my heart. TrueFist1 then goes on to ask me, hey, what's it like to have boring and uninspired tattoos? And I have to confess, at that question, I don't really have a good answer for you, sir. I wouldn't know. I suggest that we ask somebody with boring and uninspired tattoos. Perhaps someone that lived through the 80s and the early 90s and got a whole bunch of cheap, like Mom or the Tribal Armband. Perhaps if we ask them. That being said, I do enjoy my tattoos quite a bit. The forearm piece being done by Benoit at Deluxe Tattoo in Chicago. And a little bit further up, this being from Mr. Aaron Davis, who is currently tattooing at Tiger Blood Social Club in Alameda. And the final question that Mr. TrueFist1 asks is, what's it like having parents who can't stand you? And not quite sure where you are getting that information, sir. I still have quite a good relationship with my family. My father recently retired, my mother just about there. Gave me a very, very wonderful upbringing and gave me just the right amount of encouragement to pursue my dreams, but also just the right amount of pushback that it gave me something to fight against a little bit. In that respect, they were excellent parents. They wanted me to be responsible, but they wanted me to shoot for the stars. And I really couldn't have asked for much more from them, you know. And on top of that, they provided me with an exceptional education growing up and a loving household with which to develop myself. It was a great all-around environment, which is more than can be said for the immediate surroundings that I grew up in. Being from Rockford, Illinois, just an absolute shithole of a city. But somehow, even in that shithole, they managed to carve out at least a little bit of an area where I could be myself and they could foster me developing some sort of talent or skill and becoming something, which I would hope that at this point I've thankfully become. So now, TrueFist1, I can only assume that's your God-given name. I do have a question for you now. What's it like being what I can only assume is a professional internet troll? You see, I did Google your screen name, and I came across a wide variety of comments that you've left on other videos. And to say that you've given out any sort of sage advice yourself or any sort of constructive criticism is a gross overstatement on my part. Let's see. So far, the most advice that you've given out is when one person was talking about a recent drug relapse that they had. You mentioned that it would be a great idea for them to kill themselves and that their family and friends would thank them. This was just one of a myriad of comments that I found that you had left for someone else. What I would ask of you, sir, is instead of taking the time to write a hateful comment on a YouTube channel like any other 13-year-old with a keyboard could do, why don't you spend that time to develop yourself? Perhaps find a hobby. Figure out that you have a talent that hasn't yet been tapped and work to develop it into something that, I don't know, maybe even is a marketable job skill of some sort. I know that's bold words coming from me. I don't really have much in the way of job skills that are marketable. I mean, I'm a retail manager who plays guitar in his bedroom and records YouTube videos in his spare time. But, that being said, at least I can live with myself. So now, for the rest of you that watch this channel because you hope to glean some sort of information, or maybe you just like to be entertained by whatever the fuck I'm doing, thank you so much for sitting through that tirade a little bit, and I only wish you the absolute best in the rest of your day, the rest of your week, the rest of your lives going forward. And by the way, this is an exceptional Doppelbock. In case you are wondering what Doppelbock this is by a brewery called Mikkeller, and this is a style called the Frelser. It is absolutely delicious, slightly strong, has a rich aftertaste to it, but an enjoyable aftertaste. Hopefully just like my videos. Thank you so much, and join us again next time.